Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Kayla Sierra, hosted by yours truly. I want to wish everybody a happy March, and to all of my beautiful women out there, happy Women's History Month. I'm super sorry I did not post a video last week. I know that's when I was supposed to, but I have to be honest, guys. February was a really weird month for me as far as reading. I went through a really big reading slump, which is strange because it was only the second month of the year and it's the shortest month at that. So to go through a reading slump so early on is strange. It's never happened to me before, but it's happened to me now. If you guys remember, and I'll put a photo of my February TBR back up on the screen, I was supposed to read 4 books and I read 2.5 books. I'll explain the half part in a second. But I was slightly disappointed, but then also kind of understanding of how that kind of ended up. There are a lot of things with work and starting new job opportunities that prevented me from reading, and then also just focusing a lot more on my writing. My novel's coming along greatly, so I really hope to give you guys updates about that really soon. My focus was on a lot of other things, so I was still productive, just not in the sense of what I was supposed to be reading. The 2 books I read last month were Long Shot by Candy Ryan and Aphrodite and the Duke by J.J. McAvoy. In my last video, I mentioned how I had read and I finished Long Shot, and I did my little for you guys. I'm pretty sure I either hadn't started reading it yet or I had just started, and it's so sad, but the little loan tab, I got tired of tabbing. As you can see, not even like halfway through, and I just continued. I think I wrote in it and I just highlighted, kind of starred little things here and there. And now we're going to address that little half part I mentioned. I started reading The Other Black Girl in February, and I didn't finish this until a couple days ago. It wasn't that long ago, but yeah. And this book has a really cool connection to my family. My mom actually worked on the TV show that they did. They did an adaptation of the book on Hulu, and she was a hairstylist on the show. So that was really stinking cool. And she got me and my sister the book to obviously read it and be able to see the project that she worked on. I told her as I was reading it some of my frustrations with the book, not necessarily like with the writing, it was just like the characters, because I was ready to body slam some people in this book. Because one thing about it, and we're not getting off track because we're talking about the book. I had a hard time with the female character Nella, and how she was very much second guessing herself. And I understand that, that's what happens with people. Like, that's not an unnormal thing for us to second guess ourselves and kind of doubt what we think happened. But when it's so blatantly in your face, babe, gaslighting within yourself is crazy. And Hazel, yeah, I rated it 3 stars. I am going to watch the TV show soon because I have a feeling I might like the TV show a bit better. I gave Aphrodite and the Duke 4 stars, which might be like 3.5. We're gonna stick to 4. I just really love the writing in here, and to also have it just has like a strong Bridgerton vibe, and I'm actually in love with that show. So to be able to read a Black female character just getting her happy ending, but then also just coming from a family that's so loving and so big, and her finding love and her own voice being a wife, love. And lastly, Long Shot is always going to be 5 stars. And I'm going to address something in this book not so quickly because I got some things to say. When you're depicting domestic violence in the way that should bring awareness to it and not kind of gloss over it like it's not necessarily a joke, but it doesn't hold the weight that it does on a lot of men and women and what they're going through when they have a partner that is violent towards them. And it's not always physical. It can be emotional, mental, verbally. Like, there's different forms of violence and abuse against people. And I believe that Kayla Ryan did an amazing job. She states it in the book, in the content warning, how she does her research. Even in the acknowledgments, she goes into depth about how she spoke with women, and like I said, she does her research. So nothing in this book is just off the whim of her mind, or maybe she just looked up some random story. She actually spoke to victims, got their stories, and was inspired by them to be able to write such a story. And I normally don't do this, but sometimes when I'm on Goodreads, I get a little curious. So I'm like, okay, let's just look at the 1-star reviews just to see. And y'all, I shouldn't have. I should have minded my Black business and kept going about my day and left it alone. But I had a little Curious George moment, and I was like, let's just see. And I was highly disappointed in what I saw. And I'll preface this by saying everyone is entitled to their own opinion. But when your opinion is wrong, that's when I have a problem. Basically, I saw one review that said that there wasn't a content warning or like a trigger warning. That is completely false. And I'll even show it to you guys right here, because there definitely is one content warning right there. And unless you were just skimming through and not reading properly, that's why you missed it. I saw another review that said that Colleen Hoover did it better and It Ends With Us. That's an entire video on itself. But I found that very insulting, because I've read It Ends With Us. And obviously now I've read Long Shot twice. It Ends With Us doesn't touch the sensitivity, the vulnerability, and just the overall embodiment of what it means to be a victim like Long Shot does. It Ends With Us is fluffy. While it is hard to read, and for me it was even harder. I mean, yes, Iris is a Black woman, and then she was also a mom, so watching her go through those things and just going through it for her child, because she knew that Caleb was capable of taking her daughter away from her. And so she didn't have a lot of options, even though it seemed like she could have, because it was something that was really touched on in the book, is like, why didn't you go to the police? You deserved it, or he's a famous basketball player, like any girl would kill to be in your position, everything like that, like all those sort of nonsense things. But we see it truly in real life when these women or these men are in these relationships and it goes wrong, and you try to come out and you try to speak about what's happening to you, and then all of a sudden it seems like the world is against you, when you really need that love and support, because it takes a lot of strength and a lot of courage and a lot of bravery to be able to speak about things that happen to you in such a private way. So then to have people almost bashing you and disrespecting you and just ridiculing you about those things publicly, people wonder why victims don't speak up. They get mad about why people don't speak up about what's been happening to them until it's too late. And then it's, oh, I wish I'd known. They must not have had anybody, da, 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 da. We have to be more sensitive to people and what they're going through. This is really just going into something I really wasn't supposed to be talking about, but it's just so important, I feel like, to read these sort of stories and to broaden your horizon on romance, because there are a lot of dark sides to romance. And I don't mean dark romance like he's in the mafia and he's kidnapping her and all that weird stuff. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the dark sides of falling in love with somebody, the hurt, the pain that can come with it, and all its shapes and forms. All that being said, because I get really passionate about things like this. Yeah, if you made it through all of that, good to see you. I also want to show you guys my newest Funko Pop. I didn't show you guys the Funko Pop I got myself for Christmas, but I'm going to put a picture right up here. And if you guys remember, I said I wanted this one in a couple of videos back. I think it was like my third video. I said I wanted the Princess Tiana and Prince Naveen Funko Pop with them dancing together. And I got it! It's so cutie pie, and I forgot to grab it. But the newest one that I just got myself is Strawberry Shortcake. If you guys remember, I have Raspberry Tart. And when I tell you, this girl was so hard to find, and I found it on Walmart, and it was 2 left. With my February TBR aside, I want to jump really quickly into my March TBR, which I will include a photo of that right here. And I encourage you guys to go on my Instagram and see how I talked about these books a little bit on there. But I'm super excited for this month, actually. I'm going to finally be finishing the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. I'm super excited about that. But I got Blood Marked a little while ago, and it has the sprayed edges. Love, love, love. That brings us to Oathbound. I'm super excited for this book because the author Tracy Dion is currently going on her book tour for it, and I will be going to the book signing, so I'm really super excited about that. And everybody is getting a signed book with an entry. And my last book of the month is Only for the Week by Natasha Bishop. I've been really excited to read this book ever since I started doing a deep dive into Natasha Bishop, and so I'm super excited. I feel like this month I'm actually gonna finish all 4 books because I'm genuinely like excited about the books that I'm reading. But all that being said, because we've spent a lot of time talking about stuff that's not on today's agenda, so let's get into it. For today's video, I want to do something a little differently and recommend a book that I love to you guys and share a little bit why I loved it, of course, and just what you can expect from it without obviously giving away too much of said book. But this one in particular has really had me on the edge of my seat, just with the major conflict within the story. I have to say, this author wrote this book in the best way possible to where you truly felt and understood every emotion that these characters were feeling, and you know, going alongside them, trying to figure out what's going on with them and not really understanding like who to trust and who was being reliable, who was kind of not giving as much information as they could have, and who was just like bat crazy too. So without further ado, I would like to recommend Little Secrets by Jennifer Hillier to all of you guys. I read Little Secrets last year and I gave it 5 stars. And something that I want to do more of is reading thriller books, because there's something about just heart racing, feeling like I'm crazy, not in a bad way, but like just in a way where, in the healthy way of playing mind games, which now that I say that out loud, I'm not sure if there's a healthy way to play mind games. But, and also, that's why we love thrillers, that's why we love mysteries, because they really just take us for a whirlwind and they play with our emotions just like any other book. But these ones are specifically geared to never end the way you would expect them to end. And if you've predicted it, that means that the author didn't do a good job of really sculpting that mystery and that plot twist as well as they should have. But that's not what we're here to talk about. I can only just say that I never saw what was gonna happen. At the beginning of this book, Marin is at this marketplace in Seattle, and it's Christmas time, so she's out there shopping with Sebastian and Derek. Derek is at the food trucks and everything, and Marin has Sebastian, and Sebastian is just being a kid, you know, not really wanting to follow directions, but then like wanting to go like where he wants to go. He really wants to go to the candy station, and Marin's like, okay, like you need to wait. Like mom's doing these things. Like let's just wait till we get to dad and we can go get candy or whatnot. And she's texting Derek because I don't want to say like a man, but he's texting her about some food truck and asking if she wants food. And so she takes her eyes off of Sebastian, obviously, to be able to text her husband back. And she realizes that she doesn't feel Sebastian anymore next to her. And she looks down and he is nowhere to be found. And like any mother or any situation where you are the caretaker, you're responsible for a small human, and you no longer feel, see, hear them around your presence or in your presence anymore, the amount of panic is just like that. In a snap, every rational bit of thinking you might have in your body's gone. Is instantly just panic. And she is looking around, of course, screaming his name, trying to figure out where he's gone, thinking that he might have just run off to the candy station. That's because that's where he wanted to go. So she's searching, and she's called Derek and said, you know, because he's still texting her about the dumb food truck and tacos. And it's like, and she literally says in the book, it's like, I don't want a taco. I want my son, period. Because our son is missing and you're texting me about a taco, son. Relax. And so ultimately they find out through security cameras, I believe through the parking deck or somewhere in like a parking garage or something like that, similar to that, that he is lured away by someone in a Santa suit. And in the cameras, you can't really see who it is. And even through witnesses who saw Sebastian leave with the person in the Santa suit, can't really give a description of who was wearing it. And as we know, you know, it is unfortunately easy to lure kids away from their family and their loved ones. So watching this happening and knowing this has happened to Marin, she's just like, in one moment, I wasn't looking, and this unknown person now has my child. It has now been 15 months since Sebastian has gone missing, and Marin and Derek's relationship is very much on the rocks. She really can't function past, you know, having lost Sebastian and feeling, of course, that guilt that it's her fault, like she should have been paying attention more to him. And she's just like thrown herself into her work and trying to put on this facade of everything's fine. Like, yes, obviously, and of course the community knows that like her son's missing, but she's really just trying to keep up an appearance and just coast through life. When Marin hires this private investigator, she hires her to find Sebastian because the case has kind of gone cold. The FBI stops looking into it. It's been 15 months since he's gone missing, and there weren't really any leads to begin with. So now, especially, it's been over a year since he's gone missing. It's not at the top of the list for the investigators and stuff, which is really unfortunate. And it's hard to hear as a parent, knowing that your child isn't a priority. Your child's safety isn't the priority of people who pride themselves, and it's literally their job to protect their safety. She hires this private investigator to dig deeper into their son's disappearance. And the private investigator discovers Derek's affair. That's how Marin finds out about the affair with Mackenzie. And in the weirdest way, Marin doesn't say like, oh, okay, like, of course that's not something I want to hear, but like, find my son. She's like, okay, find my son and find out more about this Mackenzie girl and their affair. I'm add that to your list too. We're gonna need more information about that. It's like, babe, well, like, yes, I understand, but at the same time, it's like, really? Maren, when I tell you she goes off the deep end, I was rooting for her so badly. I was like, go Maren. I support women's rights and wrongs. I use wrongs very lightly because there are a lot of things I do not condone, and that's okay. For the sake of this book, I support what she was doing wholeheartedly. So she finds out that her husband is having this affair, and just like it says in the synopsis, she's like, I lost my son. I'm not about to lose my husband too. Not to this youngster. Oh baby, I put blood, sweat, and tears into this marriage. We've lost our child. And first of all, Derek, you think you're just about to go have your fun and basically leave me to pick up the pieces of our relationship, of everything that we should be going through as a couple together, and you're just having fun with this floozy? Like, no, babe. You think you're about to have your cake and eat it too and cater to both of us? No, you made your bed, humping it. Fine words by Serena from Love Island. If you know, you know. But anyways, she finds someone to look into their relationship, but then also someone who can handle the situation, if you know what I mean, through her best friend, who is also her ex, or I'm pretty sure it's her ex, or it's just someone who has carried a torch for her and she never really like reciprocated that, but they are really good friends, and he connects her to a guy who handles situations. If you know, you know. And this is probably the point where I was like, okay, you know, confront them, maybe. Like, you know that he's cheating on you, you know, kind of like sort of like the routine, and you're picking up on like what he's doing. Maybe you should just confront him. Like, maybe we don't need to go that far off the deep end, but at the same time, her mental state is not the healthiest. So okay, I got you. She even, I can't say that. You guys have to read this book. I'm going to move past what I was just going to say. And while Derek is having this affair with this young girl, Mackenzie knows that he's a married man, and she knows who Maren is. So when Maren goes to the coffee shop that Mackenzie is working at, she's very much like sweating bullets, but like trying to stay calm. Maren knows Mackenzie's sleeping with her husband. Mackenzie knows Maren is Derek's wife. The acting in this book is crazy. Everyone's just acting like everything's all right. I won't say nothing's wrong, but just going about it, just basically pretending, and it's wild. Mackenzie understands, and she's starting to see Derek like pull away from her, and she's very much like, oh no, like I need this money, like you're providing me with things and you're helping me out with certain things. Please come back to me, baby. Which was giving very desperate. All around, this story just really follows the despair and the stages of losing a child. And it's really good because Maren is a part of a support group of people who have lost kids, whether they've been missing, kidnapped, just different circumstances between all of the parents. And it's good for her, but then also in a way kind of feeds into her destructive nature and the path that she was starting to go down. If you're looking for a really good thriller, something that's going to jump out at you but is really different than normal thrillers, this isn't someone stalking another person or someone's obsessed with the other person. It's just really good and just showing like the dynamics of relationships and the lens a woman's gonna go through to have the life that she's created, sculpted, and had for herself, and she's now losing it and it's unraveling before her eyes, and she's like, over my dead body. Little Secrets by Jennifer Hillier is 100% the book you need to be reading. I never want to spoil anything for you guys when I'm doing these recommendations or I'm doing these book reviews, because the important part is I want to be able to share my love for this book with you guys and hopefully make you want to read it as well. So if you felt like I didn't really dive too deeply into the story, the only thing I can say is to go buy the book for yourself and to read it. Just like that, we are at the end of today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to know more about Jennifer and some of her other books, I will include a link to her website in the bio below. Like always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel and share this with all your friends. I have been Kayla Sierra, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!